Thanks for joining us today on Polk Salad.
We've started the season and had two great shows.
Great idea. That's smart.
And we've just settled in quite nicely.
Welcome to another Polk Salad. It's the month of October. It's a great day for snuggling down. It's raining outside. And we have three fabulous guests today that remind me why I love this area. We'll be right back. Greetings. We're here with Margaret Johnson. She's a friend of the Monmouth Library. She's also a longtime resident of our town. Welcome, Margaret.
And welcome, Susan.
Thank you. So you've been here since 1969. Tell us what brought you here, please.
We came here because we enjoy the mountains. We grew up in a mountainous area. We spent a few years in the Midwest where it's very flat. We're so glad to get back to the mountains.
Yeah.
And Monmouth is a great place. It's a university city. It's close to the mountains. It's close to Portland or Eugene. It's close to the coast. It's ideal.
It is ideal. I'm glad you agree. I haven't been here nearly as long, so I haven't been as active as you. Tell us a few things you've been involved in.
First thing I got involved in was Girl Scouts. I was a Girl Scout myself, and when we moved to Monmouth, there was Girl Scouting available for our daughter, so I became a leader of a troop. Did that for several years, but then became a leader trainer and actually was nationally certified by GSUSA as a trainer and really enjoyed doing the training.
So would you travel for that, or did you
Just
have them come to you?
Generally, you go to them, but it was within a small Mid-Valley area, so I didn't have to travel far.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And you have a couple of children. Was your daughter involved in Girl Scouts?
Yes, she went clear through Girl Scouts.
And your son, how about him?
He was a Boy Scout, and I was a den leader for a while, too.
Oh, good. Very active. Now, you were involved also in city things.
Yeah. I believed in giving back to the community, so I've served on the Planning Commission for the city, and currently I'm with the Parks and Rec Board.
Wonderful. And you find time for that, I don't know how, but so many other things you're also involved with, a garden club.
Right.
And then now, bada boom. Tell us about the library and what's going on at Monmouth Library, please.
Okay. The Friends of the Monmouth Library are an entity unto themselves. Library has a lot of volunteers, but they work with the library. The Friends are a separate entity, as I said, and our purpose is to enhance library activities. We do this for the community through various volunteer things and fundraising.
And fundraising, you have your own 501c3. So
correct, yes.
That makes it tax deductible for anybody who wants to give.
Right, yeah.
That's good.
And we are a membership organization, so that's partly how we get funding is through membership. And then, of course, donations, and then our book sales.
And the book sale, you just have one, or is it continuous all year long? Tell us about that.
Sort of both.
Okay.
We have ongoing sales within the circulation room of the library. There are shelves there that are always full of books for sale. Then we do have two regular sales. We have our holiday sale, which will be coming up before too long.
Okay.
Starts the first part of December and runs through December 23rd. And this sale we call our Nearly New or Gently Read sale, so that they're actually good enough books to be given as gifts.
Good. That's a great idea. Do you prefer a certain type of book? Do you prefer juvenile books or
We would love
adult?
to get juvenile books because they're very much in demand, but we accept adult books too, of course.
Now, I've given some books to the library, and I've also given books on tape or CD. Is that allowed?
Yeah, the CDs don't go as fast as the books, but yeah, sure, we can do that too. And on the ongoing sale, which is books are for sale whenever the library is open. We also have magazines for sale.
Oh, magazines, okay.
Yeah.
Good. So
And-
that you can rip the pages out and
Yeah.
not feel too bad when you own it.
We also have a big sale in the spring. It's usually about Mother's Day weekend, and interestingly, it's in conjunction with the Monmouth Garden Club plant sales.
Oh.
That is at the library on the outside, and the book sale is inside.
Oh, perfect. Perfect. Did you organize that since you're in both? I bet you did.
I've been involved in getting them on.
Good, good. Well, when I had asked around of who could represent the library, everybody said, get Margaret. Margaret is involved in so many things, and she never says no. We have to learn to say no, don't we? You've been involved in quite a few things.
Yeah.
So that's wonderful. It's one of the reasons we love this city and this, well, a whole area. The people feel a connection and they do things. Nobody's sitting back and just
And it's
letting
friendly.
it happen. It's very friendly. So I see you've brought us some goodies. Would you like to share okay. Now we know about the fundraising. Now what happens with the money?
With the money, yes, good question. Our purpose, as I said, was to enhance library things. And so we spend money for the summer reading programs, and we were able, the past couple of years, to get a book for every child that registers. They get a free book. And it's everything from toddlers through picture books through teenage books.
Oh, good. That's a great idea. How many did you have register?
Over 400.
Oh, wonderful. Good. And was the object to read so many books
Yes.
per week? And
Well, over a period of time, they have a form that they fill out and
Good.
record how long they've been reading. And at the end, they get another free book. And this year, they got a backpack, too.
Wow, that's terrific. Well, I know over the summer there have been indications that students, there's some attrition. They forget quite a bit before they move on to the next. So this is a super idea.
Right. It's a very important thing for the community.
They've also noticed a difference between the Christmas break or the holiday break between the semesters. So that might be an idea too, to get them to read over that time.
We do
too.
help the library sponsor programs for when school is not in session,
Wonderful.
such as the teachers' work days and things like that. It's another thing the Friends do is we pay the movie license fees so that appropriate movies can be shown with, of course, no charge.
Wonderful, wonderful. Is that shown at the schools or at the library?
At the library in the
good.
community room. Yeah.
Oh, well, when we lived in Wisconsin, our children were very young, and we didn't have air conditioning. It gets hot and humid in Wisconsin. So the library was the place to go, and we saw, Snow White, Bambi, all that. Our children became very good early readers as a result, and I'm sure that's what's happening with our younger citizens.
Yeah.
So that's great.
There's also a summer reading program for adults.
Good.
And there were, I think, about 80 adults had signed up for that this year.
Great.
Yeah.
That's great. Oh, well, I'm glad to hear that. Now, you have some other things going on, perhaps. I know you have a seed library.
Yeah, the seed
That's
lending.
interesting.
That's not really run by the Friends, but other things that the Friends do. One of you were speaking about enhancing early reading.
Yes.
We have the literacy stations for the children, and it's a computer thing, but it is based around science, math, reading, and it was we were able to purchase that through a generous donation through the Dr. William Hine Estate. And so there are two of these, and when I'm in checking books in at the library, there's always busy. Those stations are
Wonderful.
always busy.
I didn't realize that was your doing or your organization's doing.
Right.
Wow. I'm sure they're thrilled to have you. And your group helping out so much. So you're able to provide services and materials. I know you pay for magazine and newspaper subscriptions that doesn't get picked up by the library. There are expenses that come along that
we
you're
also
able to cover.
do programs. And for the children, of course, the summer reading program, but also we sponsor the Builders Club for younger kids. And for adults, we have the Adult Coloring Club.
Oh, what a good idea.
Yeah.
And that's such the rage.
Oh, yeah. And we have a couple of upcoming events. We have a Halloween event, and that's sponsored by the Friends. And then also we will have Brian Doyle coming. And this is for the Virginia Gillis Memorial. Virginia Gillis was the first librarian in Monmouth and served many years. And so this will be the second memorial author evening of the Virginia Gillis service.
Good, good. And the first one,
Grant McCombie.
that happened recently, didn't it?
Yeah, about a year and a half ago. Yeah.
Yeah, wonderful.
And he's coming very shortly.
Great, great. Well, I look forward to that. That'll be wonderful. You have a couple of other things. Anything else in there we want to share about?
Well, we talked about the Builders Club.
Builders Club. Oh, great.
And then we had this.
For his bilingual.
Right.
Wonderful. That's a great idea. Okay. Well, I'm so glad you came on and were able to share a bit. And I appreciate everything you do, all for our community, and thank you so much.
My pleasure.
We're here now with Betty Plood. She's a member of the Independence Friends of the Library, or Friends of the Independence Library. Okay,
Yeah.
I wasn't quite sure. And she's, of course, a longtime citizen of the town of Independence. And welcome, Betty.
Thank you, Susan. Good to be here.
It's wonderful to have you on. We have tried once before to get you on, and this is our second take, and the story continues to increase. So you've done other things other than be a member of the Friends, but you're seem to be focused on literacy and helping people learn to write their stories.
I do, and getting their stories.
Getting their stories. So at one time you were conducting a class on how to write your life story.
It's called Write It Before You Lose It.
And
I encourage everybody to do that.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. And now you were just telling me you've been asked to do another thing for Northwest Library. Tell us about that.
Right. Well, in February, for Northwest Christian Libraries at Christian churches, and they've asked me to come and do a program there, but I'm going to not just stick with them doing their stories, and then I give them information to take on to their churches, but I'm also going to encourage them to interview people at their churches and maybe put it in their bulletin or newsletter so people learn more about them.
Good.
So I do a seminar called How to Capture a Great Interview.
Good.
Like Susan.
No, I did the same thing for a women's organization I'm with. We would find out just a page worth of information, just enough to say, she's a home ec major, and all of a sudden 6 other women in the group said, I'm a home ec major. We have something in common. So it really helps on that bonding and getting to know each other, don't you think? Okay, well, I know we have something else you were telling us about that before we get to the Columbus Day storm, which is coming up, but this was in 1962. Before we get to that, tell us, you're on a new adventure on a writing project.
Well, my husband died in November, and I was really having a hard time, but something came up where people are doing history of the Independence State Airport, not the people that live at the airport, residential airport. And I am doing, calling people that were there when it was just a grass field. And I've been getting incredible interviews.
Good.
And Justin Much, actually, from the Statesman Journal, I got to know him when I was doing the Columbus Day Storm book. And he sent me some names, and his wife even got a hold of a gal in Canada now that learned to fly at our airport way back when. So, and then they've been giving me more names. And
Wonderful.
then one of our local people, John, his name just left me, sorry.
It'll come back.
I went over to the care center and interviewed him, and it was awesome to get. He was the first person to put an auger in the grass to put his plane there. He was the first person to be at that airport.
Wow.
To fly, so it was great.
So they would, no lights, so I'm assuming they did this
didn't have
only
them.
daylight.
Right, yeah.
And it was grass?
It was grass at the very beginning, and then the story goes on, and it's great. But I've been collecting stories, and eventually, maybe just like the Columbus Day Storm book, you'll be able, if you care about flying and and our local airport, you might want the book maybe for a fundraiser for the library. I don't know yet.
Yes. Well, speaking of which, the library, there are a couple of fundraisers that you do for that, and let's talk about that for a minute. I enjoyed going to last year's movie. Tell us about the movie.
Well, this will be, and I didn't think we'd be doing it anymore. We did the 10th year a year ago, and now this was the 11th, or we're doing the 11th coming up.
Okay.
And I'm still going to be doing it, and we have, last year we had...
The Intern.
We had the Intern. If anybody hasn't seen it, go see the Intern.
Darling show.
And we made more money in that one. They used 2 theaters for that one, and that was the first time. And anyway, that money goes every year to the Friends of the Library for the programs for the kids in the summer and the adults, and prizes for all the reading challenges they have, and. The children's librarian and the other librarian, they kind of give us a list when we have our board meetings, you know, would you fund this, this, or this?
Sure.
And we say, sure, you know, I don't think we've ever turned them down, and they do an awesome job at our library.
Good, that is
all summer,
So you've raised about $20,000 on the movie, don't you?
No.
Or is that...
Well, that was over the years. It's always $2,000 every year we've always made on the movie.
Oh, I see. So 20,000 over 10 years. Gotcha. And you've raised 20,000 on
the Storm book.
On the Columbus Day Storm. Okay, let's talk about that if you don't mind. Would you like to show us the...
Okay, here's the cover for our book. And the story, it took 3 years to put it together. I go to writers' conferences, and I'd ask if anybody had stories, and like Justin Much, you know, I just was going to put a little teeny ad in the paper looking for stories. Well, Justin was great and gave me a statue that got blown over at the Capitol, and then he put a big story with it about I was looking for stories, and then I just started getting emails and people calling me and emailing me stories. And so there's 215 awesome stories in here.
And you wrote down for me some of the people, Ray Coleman, Gary Huxford, Catherine Hufford, Bud Smith, Evelyn Winiger, Nancy Beck.
That's Weiniger.
She's
local, yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry, okay. I'm sorry, Evelyn. Nancy Beck, Artis Brown, Dennis Eberly, Pat Jaffer, Joyce Johnson, and John McCardle.
Right,
wow,
our
and more.
Our mayor was only 5, John McCardle was only 5 years old, and he still remembers his mom walking him down to the state capitol to see all those trees all blown over.
Oh, wow.
So
this is over 50 years ago, and we still have plenty of folks. In fact, I had a gentleman come out and repair my refrigerator, and I asked him about the Columbus Day Storm, and he had his own story to tell.
Oh.
Everybody's got a story if they were here.
They do, and if they'd only heard about it, they'd be in the book.
And that's right.
My husband and Pauline Parmenter, who was one of the editors. Her husband said, "Isn't Betty done getting stories?" And I'd think I was, but then I'd get another one and I'd get all excited again, and it
Well,
had to
that's
be
why
in
it's
there.
on a spiral. Maybe you could
Right.
just keep adding
You
and
do.
adding and adding. Yeah.
And I still pick it up. It's on my coffee table, and every once in a while I'll pick it up, and I still enjoy reading them.
I do
again.
too. I do
Yeah.
too. I feel like, but like you say, it's one of those things that that is current because you get to know the folks, and so many of them are still with us. You do things with the library. You volunteer, but you do something fun with the library. What game is it that you do?
Oh, I forget. Today.
Today?
Today is a Wednesday. We have Scrabble with Betty. So anybody is welcome, men, women, the first Wednesday of every month. And we go today. My house is being remodeled now. I have no stove, so I stop by Ross and pick up cookies and water, and I get door prizes for the winners, and we have a great time.
That's
and
fun.
the people that come have been coming pretty much, it's been over a year now, probably a year and a half. And
Wow.
they get to be kind of like friends, and they expect to see each other the next time, so it's really nice.
Good. Good.
Yeah, so you're all welcome. We want to fill up that conference room.
Oh, good. Good. So, how many folks show up?
We have about 15
Wow,
every
that's
time.
a good crowd.
And then sometimes people have doctor appointments or they're on a trip, so
Well,
we could almost fill the room if they
Wonderful.
all got there at the same time.
wonderful. The library has several programs, and I know they do bilingual, they do summer reading programs. Tell us some of that you're able to help with through the funds that you raise.
Well, we have the chess club, which is
good.
awesome. I mean, these little kids, it's amazing. And they've gotten championship trophies. Oh, I should have brought it today. I could have borrowed it. And we provide funds when they were able to go to Portland. And then they had San Antonio's did a buffet for them, what do you call it,
nice.
catered, you know, and we paid for that. But summer reading program, we provide prizes for the winners of the reading program, and then on our board for the Friends, we have a lady who her and her mom did a quilt, and so we have that for a fundraiser.
Oh, that's nice.
I think they just drew for that at the Hop Festival time.
Oh, good.
So, and then we provide, I think I already said, they come to the meeting with a wish list or whatever you call it of what they need money for. And so we have never turned them down. So
Wonderful.
That's great. We've
Yay.
got plenty of money in there. In April, I plan to have Steve Arndt. I hope I'm pronouncing his name right. He does the back roads of
Right,
Oregon.
I've met him. Yeah, that'll be
Well,
wonderful.
he's wonderful.
He's
he grew up
from
here.
Independence,
Yeah, he grew up
right.
here, and I need to connect with him again on the date, but it's going to be in April. And he'll be coming to the library for that gathering, and I'm sure we'll have a lot of people from Salem and everywhere because
Good.
he's very popular.
Awesome.
And so we don't know the date yet. We gotta.
Okay.
He's
Something
been-
to look forward to.
Well, he's been busy with the fair and other things. And
Yeah,
so,
yeah, I saw him. I'm not sure if he lives in Silverton, but I saw
think it's
him in
Woodburn,
Silverton.
I think.
Oh, is it Woodburn?
He was in Silverton, and he was at all the fairs.
And the Tulip Festival.
The Tulip
he was there.
Festival,
He's
yeah,
a busy guy.
yep, yep.
Gets around.
And up at Bauman's Farms,
Okay.
he's got a.
For the Iris.
Well, no, he has a book. What do you call a thing that spins around where you
Oh,
put books in there?
carousel thing?
Carousel. You can buy books there of his too,
Great.
and I have 4 of them, so they're awesome.
I know. He's a very savvy marketer because he doesn't put all his information into one book.
Right.
He divides it
That's
up into
right.
fourths so
Yeah,
that
well, in different locations in Oregon, you know. So
Yeah, it's very
great.
bright, very smart.
Yeah.
Good. Well, I'm so glad you came on today.
Yeah.
And it was so fun to know that we have the Columbus Day coming up very shortly here. And we can be referring to the stories and hopefully no storm.
that's right. Yeah.
Thank you, Betty.
Thank you for having me.
We'll be right back. And we're here with Erin McDonough. She's been here in the area for 10 years and at Western Oregon University for 4. So we're glad to have you. Thanks for coming on the show.
I'm glad to be here. Thanks, Susan.
So what brought you to our area, Aaron?
Well, I actually followed my other half. He is the softball coach here at Western Oregon, and he'd been telling me about Western Oregon University for a number of years as a college softball coach. Always admired it. It was the Division II school here in Oregon, and produced great teachers, which a lot of softball players want to be teachers, as well as having a variety of majors. So he had been looking and eyeing this job for a while. So when he got hired, I followed him down here.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
So were you immediately, did you find a job immediately with the university?
Luckily, I did pretty quickly. So he got hired in October, and I got hired in November, and we moved at Christmas break. And
Perfect.
We both, softball season started January 2nd, and I started my job, and yeah,
wow.
we feel very lucky and a bit like it was meant to be.
Good.
Yes.
Good. So you come from the East Coast originally. Have you added any difficulties adjusting to West Coast sensibilities?
No, I'm happy to be at a different pace, as well as a different level of kind of where it's a little bit less, not professional is the wrong word, but I don't need to be in a suit. I'm happy to be in a sweater today,
nice?
right?
Yeah. Nice.
And I'm happy to avoid humidity and bugs, and I don't miss the snow, and I don't miss my teeth being so cold in the winter when you go outside.
Oh,
so,
that's right. And your nostrils freezing.
yeah, I
Do you
hate
remember
that. Yes.
Yeah, we don't have that here. Yay.
No. So I'll take the rain. Like I can. I feel like I can still go outside. I can be out there, even though I did learn you have to take your vitamin D. So as long as you're taking that vitamin D, you're good.
Yeah, and those lights. Have you ever tried the lights?
I have a light too. Yes.
I talked to a couple of gals who convinced me that was a necessity when I moved here.
Yeah.
But my way is to head south to California to visit my daughter and her kids.
Yeah, that's a good. That's a good outlet
Every
too.
6 or 7 weeks.
Yeah. Good choice.
But in the summer we had it. It was beautiful.
Oh.
And it's beautiful 90% of the time.
Absolutely.
I love it.
Yeah, my summer is one of my favorite pieces here, and it was one of the unexpected things. We love living in a university community, and that has been part of our history, and we just love that part of what you can get from being in a university community. The unexpected piece here was everything Monmouth and Independence does for the community during the summer. And so that makes it all the more special of being able to go to concerts in the park and movies in the park and festivals, so that's pretty special.
I know. Yeah, so when I first came here, I was with my husband. He was interviewing for the position of president.
Yeah.
I met you over at Gentle House.
Yes.
And I told my husband immediately after, this is the gal who knows everything. You have to get Erin in on the inside. She is on the inside track.
Yes.
So at the time you were in the foundation office, and
right.
What was that position? You were building friendships and relationships, and since then, everybody that I've met, oh, Erin, sure, I know Erin. So you really have bonded with the community. It's
yes.
Great.
I actually feel very fortunate that my first job here was with donor relations, and I worked with scholarships, and I worked with our retirees and something called the Emeritus Society, which is a community group. So I immediately got to engage with people like Margaret Johnson and other folks that have this strong connection to Western, whether it be they sponsor a scholarship or they come here to learn or they're worked here for so many years. So I got to get that history, and then they helped connect me to people, and so many of our generous community members give back. So I was connecting them through the donor relations side of my job as well. So that enabled me really to kind of get a feel of the community and meet a ton of people, which is great.
Good. And you also, you performed that admirably. You were also given a new position that you fit into perfectly. Would you tell us about that?
Sure. I'm excited to now help lead the team around strategic communications and marketing. And so this is resurrection of an old team that existed maybe 10 or 15 years ago, but before the university owned a trademark, before we had new branding, before there was social media, can you imagine? So now our team looks a little bit different, and we are excited because it's our job to help tell the community and tell the state and beyond how wonderful Western is, why you want students to come here, why you want to engage in Western. So that's exciting. That's an exciting job to have about a place I'm passionate about.
And you had some experience prior to help you in this kind of a venture you're in. Hadn't you worked at Red Cross, was it? Or?
American Heart Association.
American Heart Association,
yes,
sorry.
Yeah, so we were also doing the same thing, making sure we were known and getting our message out to the community up in the Portland and Vancouver region, and really we covered most of the state. So it was a great experience up there as well.
Neat, neat. Well, I know there's a saying I've heard. This is Mark Twain. This is Mark Twain remembering that his saying that rumors of my demise have been greatly exaggerated.
You're right.
Okay. And shortly after that, he said, a rumor gets halfway around the world before the devil gets his shoes on. And that was before telephone, before...
Speaking of social media.
Social media, yeah. So you really are getting out in front and painting the face of the university that we want to see, all the positive things, because it's so easy to go negative, and to have it go positive is wonderful. We're on an organization together, a committee. The Monmouth Engaged has 5 committees, and we're on the Connections Committee. Would you tell us what we're doing in that? I'll let you start.
Oh, sure. So we're doing a few things, and one of the first initiatives, and this is before I joined the committee, was around calendaring. And so how does the community know what's happening at Western, and how does WU know, the WU students know about what's happening in the community? And that kind of cross-pollination. And so we really came to this collaboration and decision that Western Oregon's calendar will help promote the chamber calendar, and the chamber calendar will help promote Western Oregon University's calendar. And that's really the great place to come to and see what's happening for not only our students but our community, is that calendar. And you can get to that from the front page of wou.edu.
Right.
So that's one of the initiatives. This next initiative is, we've talked about how do we engage from a cultural shift of bringing Monmouth and independence into supporting Western in a big way, and the college community really feeling and being a part of the local community, that college town feel. And so one of the ideas we had was doing a walk, putting out some walking paths. So I think we'll see that probably in the spring, so so that we can bring more people to campus. So when you hear about a great concert at Rice Auditorium, you go, oh yeah, I walked past there on that walking path.
Sure.
Or you see the parking lots, or that it feels very comfortable to be on campus.
Kind of encouraging people to see us as part of the community as well as...
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And part of it was parking. Our committee is kind of heavily biased with WU folks, but we have a committee member or two who brings us back to ground and tells us, well, my reason for not going is parking.
Yeah.
So
I was really excited. You're going to see a new thing here on campus when we have events and a parking lot's reserved for that event. So Smith Fine Arts Series, for instance, the parking lot will actually have, and this came out of our committee, a new sign that will go over the parking sign that says, this lot is free for this time for this event. And I think we all knew that it was free during the events on campus, but it was something we took for granted. So we're so glad the committee members pointed out, well, we just need you to tell us.
Right.
So it's not, you're not, driving to that lot and seeing this big scary sign that says, you need a permit.
Right. That's right. And something as simple as the the map that says parking meter. Add an S. There's more than one parking meter
Yes.
on campus.
Yeah.
Hey, who'd have thunk?
Yeah, so we want you to come and get your, so we had a read out for the volleyball game and the football game this weekend. So we want you to come to the bookstore. So there's meter parking right next to the bookstore that you can come in and grab a shirt or grab a flag for outside your house. There's also 20-minute parking right there that you can jump in and out. So we want people to know that campus is accessible in that way. And it was really interesting to hear the committee members tell us that that's their barrier to entry.
Yeah, it is. It is. So hopefully we'll see more cross-pollination, like you were saying,
Yes.
cross-connecting. So that's wonderful. Well, Erin, I wish you the best of luck in your new
Thank you
position.
very much.
I know you'll do great. And thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you, Susan, for having me.
And we'll be right back. I enjoyed having them on the program. You can see our program on the YouTube WinPeg channel, on MyNet channel 718, and on our Facebook page, Polk Salad, a bounty of conversation. Until next time, I'll see you around town. Thank you for joining us. Weren't they